This video contains minor spoilers for Tears of the Kingdom. I hope you're enjoying the game, and thank you to everyone who's subscribed and become a channel member. It really means the world. Also, a huge congratulations to Reki Kawabunga, who won my Tears of the Kingdom Switch OLED giveaway. Thank you to everyone who entered. The land of Hyrule has changed pretty considerably in the 6 years since Breath of the Wild, I think matching the releases of the games. So here we are in Hyrule of the Tears of the Kingdom. What's changed in this kingdom? Here are 50 location changes. Let's start with some quick obvious ones. Number 1, the Sheikah Towers have gone and have been replaced with the Lookout Towers, repurposing much of the Sheikah technology into their infrastructure. Sheikah Shrines are now gone. They are no longer underground, possibly as a result of the upheaval, or possibly as a result of simply being unneeded, since the Sheikah monks, of course, are no longer around. Link starts the game with all the heart containers and stamina wheels he needs, which means that Link completed all of the Sheikah trials. Number 3, chasms have opened up all over Hyrule, adding to a whole underground section of the map. Of course, number 4, above the map are the Sky Islands of Hyrule, previously unseen in Breath of the Wild. There was what seemed to be a cloud barrier that opens up at the beginning of the game. Number 5, caves have also appeared all over the map. I'm not going to treat each one individually, just there are a lot of caves where there's a lot of bubble frogs. I really like these frogs. Number 6, the Sacred Ground Ruins, where you got a memory in Breath of the Wild, has completely changed and been developed into Lookout Landing. There are no longer scary guardians around here looking to blow you up. It seems like the whole ground of this site has been torn up, and in fact there's a royal passageway that can now be located underneath Lookout Landing, leading you towards the castle. Number 7, the central square was previously covered in malice and sentry butts and of course guardians. Now rebuilding has begun, tents are around, and Zelda has put a monument to those who lost their lives during the calamity. Number 8, if you make your way into Hyrule Castle, the floor in the inner sanctum has actually been filled in with dirt and rubble, so you can no longer access the room where the final battle took place in Breath of the Wild. If you look up, of course, the cables that previously held up the Calamity Ganon are now gone, so there's just a big hole in the ceiling. As a result of the restoration of Hyrule, number 9, the bottomless swamp has now become the bottomless pond. The moblins have been kicked away and their base destroyed, and now life is beginning to grow in this beautiful oasis. However, the swamp has made its way to Zora's Domain, because number 10, at the beginning of the game, Zora's Domain is covered in sludge and mud that seems to have completely dampened the area. However, this is of course reversible throughout the game. Number 11, Mipha's statue has been removed from Zora's Domain and has been given its own place up on Mount Polymus. There, Mipha overlooks a brand new area, while a statue of Link and Sidon resides in the domain. Number 12, pretty much all of the Great Fairy Fountains have moved entirely. How a fairy packs up their own flower and moves it, I'm not quite sure, but they have indeed moved. Number 13, Tarrytown has hugely expanded with the HUDSON construction site. There's a little bell in the middle of Tarrytown now where there wasn't before, and it looks like that whole town is going to develop. Maybe it'll be Hyrule's first city. Number 14, the area surrounding Death Mountain has changed dramatically. It's completely dried up. The mountain is no longer erupting and the lava has become stone. There's a couple little lakes that are gecko-shaped, or little ponds, I suppose, of water. In the top right corner of the map, there is the LOMEI Labyrinth Island, which is now completely dried up, meaning it's a completely different puzzle to what it was before in Breath of the Wild. Similarly, number 16, the Typhlo ruins were covered in complete darkness. Now that darkness has been vanquished and we can see the Typhlo ruins as they were intended to be, confirming a lot of theories about the Zonai from past Zelda videos. Number 17, at the beginning of the game, the Rito village is completely covered in snow. They're having a cold snap, which the Rito are struggling with. This, of course, completely changes the way that the Rito village looks, but much like with the Zora, this is reversible throughout the course of the game. Number 18, there are geoglyphs everywhere. Obviously, this is kind of like a big, clear thing. Where were the geoglyphs previously? Are they here as a result of time shenanigans in the game, or are they in fact something that was always there, but now only being made presentable through magic? That's what I choose to believe. Number 19, around Hyrule Castle and Breath of the Wild, there were several large Sheikah spires. These are now completely gone. It's interesting because I never really knew what these were, whether they were part of Sheikah shrines somehow, or whether they were somehow part of Ganon's malice. Either way, they are gone. We can no longer use them to climb up into the tower. Number 20, deep within a canyon here in Hyrule, you can find the Forgotten Temple. If you want to learn more about this location, I suggest Zeltic's video about the Forgotten Temple and how it is the area from from Skyloft, where the Master Sword was first created. However, in this game, it has a whole new room with a map of Hyrule in it, hidden behind the goddess statue, which is now fallen over. Number 21, deep in the Gerudo Desert, there once was the giant skeleton of some kind of whale, the Gerudo skeleton. This is where the fairy fountain was. The fairy fountain has moved, and the skeleton has sunken deep underground. It's now in a chamber where you can find a couple of fairies still floating about. Number 22, Gerudo Town itself has changed, but it's not just a simple redesign. It's more like they've blasted their way through the central staircase to allow access to a shelter underneath the main seat of power in town. Inside here, you can find the Gerudo taking shelter and dropping messages to the Vo of the outside world to come and find them. Of course, out in the desert, number 23, you can now find the Gerudo Temple of Thunder, which is just a very ominous looking location. Number 24, out in the East Barrens of the Gerudo Desert, quicksand is forming, trapping travelers underneath the surface. There you can find additional ruins. Speaking of Gerudo ruins, in the East Gerudo ruins, number 25, there once were 7 statues of the various heroines of Hyrule of the past, and now they have sunken, possibly as a result of the upheaval. Number 26, Lurelin Town, which is in itself a reference to Outset Island from Zelda the Wind Waker with a similar layout, has now been taken over by pirates who have come from Koholint Rock in the southeast portion of the map. Number 27, you can find these pirates making their base inside of a hollow inside of Koholint Rock. This is where the pirates are docked, but in Breath of the Wild, no such hollow existed. Number 28, if you make your way to Hateno Village, you'll see it's colored in colorful mushrooms. There seems to be some kind of art exhibit that the town is just doing, and mushrooms and colorful mushrooms are very much in fashion for the people of Hateno. In Hateno Village as well, you have been kicked out of your house. It is Zelda's house where she's living in the village, and you can find her diary with a bunch of notes as well as a secret well behind her house. I absolutely recommend coming to this area and checking it out in the game. Number 30, in the time since the chain, Hateno has developed a lot, and Zelda has even built a school that was not there in the original game. Number 31, the blue torches that were throughout the town and of course up next to the lab have gone, as well as the telescope, but the Guardian still sits on the roof of the building, which is the only Guardian that we've been able to find in the game so far. Number 32, the horn statue is gone, but don't worry, it's not gone completely from Hyrule, it's just no longer in this area, but I'm not going to tell you where it's moved to. I think you should find that out for yourself. Number 33, around all of the stables of Hyrule, wells have also been developed, and inside pretty much every single well in the game, there is some secret waiting for you. Number 34, Kakariko Village now has scaffolding absolutely everywhere. They seem to be building out the city to make it even bigger. Now progress can be made because the calamity is over. If you make your way into what was Impa's hut, or rather what is the chieftain's hut, you'll find that the painting that previously referenced the calamity is gone from the location it was on in Breath of the Wild, as well as the Sheikah orb that would have been used for a shrine. The orb is gone completely, but the calamity depiction can still be found upstairs in Impa's room. Number 36, much like the other fairy fountains, this fairy fountain of Kakariko Village has disappeared as well. However, there is now in its place these ring ruins that have fallen from the sky. They're very noticeable here. Number 37, if you make your way up the sacred Satori Mountain, you'll find that there is a forest that was there in Breath of the Wild of like durian trees, I think that's the name of the fruit, that has now sort of been replaced with this apple tree grove. You can find golden apples pretty commonly here, but what I will say is watch out for the trees. Number 38, I'm going to count this one separately. The Yiga Clan Chasm is no longer just a death pit that if you jump into you'll die. It is in fact an access point to the underworld chasms of Hyrule. Number 39, the Rito stable has completely gone. It's been replaced instead with the Lucky Clover Gazette, the news network that is going to be pretty prevalent in this game. Number 40, the Lost Woods is pretty impassable in these games compared to Breath of the Wild as a result of the gloom that's emanating. However, should you find your way in there, you'll notice that the Korok forests in the Korok home is very purplish and it has a whole different hue to it. Number 41, the environment has changed in a lot of other locations. For example, on the edge of the Great Plateau, specifically the area closer to the desert, has melted away, which makes sense because it was weird having that much snow close to that much desert. Speaking of the Great Plateau, number 42, the rock gate has worn away, allowing it to now be shootable with a bomb arrow, so you can drain the water that's built up inside next to the gate. Number 43, around the Spring of Courage, new new LOMEI ruins have opened up. Your main quest may well take you there. Number 44, if you find yourself flying past Lake Hyrule, you'll notice a giant fire Gleeok, of course this being the original boss from the first Legend of Zelda, and next to it, in the water, there is a giant whirlpool that leads you somewhere. I recommend jumping in whirlpools. Number 45, if you find your way to the HUDSON fort, you'll notice that a huge cleanup effort has happened. The Guardian corpses have been removed pretty much from the entirety of this area of the map, leaving it completely barren. Unfortunately, new monster forces have arrived there. Number 46, equally, the Temple of Time has also had its Guardians removed. Other than that, it seems pretty similar visually, but if you talk to the Hylia statue, something different might happen. Number 47, the Shrine of Resurrection, much like the Sheikah Shrines, is also completely gone, but the cave that was there is still there, and if you find your way into the pool of water where you would have started Breath of the Wild, the pool will actually heal you, a nice little Easter egg reference back to the beginning of the game. Number 48, this is a very small one, but in the southern Farosh foothills, there is a chest on a pillar that is like really hard to access, usually because of the rain and because you can't just ascend up it. So you've got to be creative about how you get to this treasure chest. This is just not here in the game, and that's pretty common all throughout the map. There are new areas where treasure chests and pillars have just been put there that weren't there before. Number 49, similarly, there is in the northern Farosh hills, the lake that was once there where a Korok could be found has dried out, and there's an enemy encampment there, and enemy encampments have also found themselves new homes across the overworld. And number 50, this is a bit of a cheat one, because this is about a change to Hyrule, not from Breath of the Wild to Tears of the Kingdom, but in fact of Ocarina of Time to Tears of the Kingdom. Let me explain. Of course, in Tears of the Kingdom, you can find the Temple of Time, the building that is in the Great Plateau. However, before that, in the sky, there is the true Temple of Time, what seems to be the original one, the one that the building on the surface is based off of. Now, the one that's on the surface, we actually got a better look at in Ocarina of Time. Structurally, it's pretty similar, and you'll notice that the interior design for the Temple of Time in Ocarina of Time is the same as the one from the Tears of the Kingdom. I've said the word time a lot recently. You start off with a main hall with a small podium, then you come to what you would call the Gate of Time. In Ocarina of Time, you can only open this by playing the Ocarina of Time, and in Tears of the Kingdom, you can only open it using Recall to reverse the flow of time, and then once you make your way through the Gate of Time, you'll find your way to a podium. In Ocarina of Time, this is where the Master Sword is and allows you to time travel, and in Tears of the Kingdom, this is where the Master Sword will disappear and make its way to Zelda. And this is just 50 ways that the world has changed since the time of Breath of the Wild. I suspect there are many more changes that you can find in there. Let me know if you found any really cool ones in the comments down below. Do consider becoming a channel member if you want to see more Zelda videos like this, because, well, I want to make more of them, and I enjoy making more, and of course, the more channel members there are, the more I can hire editors to help me work on them. Of course, it's never expected, but always appreciated. Thank you so much for your support on this channel. It's been absolutely huge.
And with that, I'll see you next time.